What's the state of your website? If you're looking for a new digital experience platform or DXP to run your digital experiences, I have the book for you. The Agile Brand Guide to Digital Experience Platforms is part of my best-selling series of MarTech books. In this book, I explore and demystify DXPs and look at the roles a digital experience platform should play, the different types on the market, as well as how to initially evaluate platforms, then how to best implement a DXP once you've selected it. The book also features a foreword from Rupali Jain, Chief Product Officer at leading DXP provider Optimizely, as well as several other thought leaders in the industry. Learn more and get a copy in print or digital now by going to the Agile Brand Guide website at www.agilebrandguide.com.
Hi, this is Greg. Look for my book, The Agile Brand, on Amazon or on my website at theagile.world. Welcome back to The Agile World. This is Greg Kihlstrom. In the last few episodes, I've talked about some of the things that sets Agile brands apart. First, I talked about having an open dialogue with customers. Then I talked about telling stories that are genuine and authentic, that resonate with a company's values as well as its customers' values. Then I talked about using data to drive deeper insights and greater growth. So using that quantitative information to really add on top of the qualitative stories that you're getting from your customers. In the last episode, I talked about staying nimble by always listening and really having a process to listen but not just be reactive and instead really have a methodology and a process that benefits from thinking in an agile way and really helps brands be more successful. In this last part of this series of episodes, I'm going to talk about letting go a little to have deeper relationships. So part of the agile methodology identifies three different roles in the process. So there's the product owner. This is the person that is really responsible for setting requirements of a project. There's the Scrum Master, and to not go into too much depth, this is essentially the project manager. This is the person that leads the team that's doing the work, and then there's the actual team doing the work. So there's these three roles, and generally speaking, in the software world, in the manufacturing world, this is all internal to an organization. You're not outsourcing this to your customers or anything like that. These are all an internal team. And so, the product owner really is in charge of making sure that not only is the team given the right requirements, but that if changes need to be made, if modifications need to be made, those are done. Or if for some reason external factors change requirements, those are getting fed to the team and modified and integrated into the series of steps or sprints that a team will go through. I think the difference in the worlds of this agile, whether it's software development, manufacturing versus branding, is branding 101 is such that you put a lot of effort into creating a brand. You go through messaging, the graphic representations, positioning, all of those types of things. And as I've said earlier, you really don't want to change some of those things. I talked about in the duality of the Agile brand, there are some things that you want to modify and be intentional about, but that might modify over time. But you don't want to change your branding guidelines, too often, or else, particularly larger organizations, it's going to get pretty frustrating for a global enterprise to keep changing the color of their logo and stuff like that. But there are those things that should change and need to change over time sometimes. So, audience targeting, audience positioning, the strategies and the tactics that you use to reach them, those are things that need to change. And so I go through this a little bit in my book, The Agile Brand. Part of an agile brand is actually that when I talk about letting go to have a deeper relationship, this means actually having your customers take a little bit of that product owner role. So it doesn't mean you give up control of your brand. And again, branding fundamentalists and branding experts often recoil a little bit when I talk about this, but it's this idea that successful brands aren't completely owned by the brand itself anymore. The quote I mentioned several episodes back from Jeff Bezos, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. That is not only that was true yesterday, but it's getting more and more true. Consumers want more and more control over brands. In exchange, though, brands get so much when they let go a little bit. So again, consumers shouldn't design your logo. They shouldn't come up with your business strategy. They shouldn't even define what your values are. Their values, you should align your values with your customers and find the right customers that have values aligned with yours. But there is an element where consumers, they actually want to contribute. They want products and services that are actually tailored to them. And so in order to have products and services tailored to them, they are willing to give ideas, feedback. They're even, in some cases, willing to give personal information in order to help that. So I think, brands that really understand this, Agile brands that are going to be successful in the long term, they really understand this and they let go a little bit from that rigid brand mentality and hierarchy and all of that stuff. They let go a little bit so that their customers can actually feel a part ownership of the brand. And I think when it's done well, a brand can remain very consistent. It can remain very targeted, and yet the customers feel very well aligned with the brand that they're supporting. So in the next few episodes, I'm going to talk about some of the factors that changed to allow an Agile brand to really come into existence. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please rate the show on iTunes or contact me through my website at theagile.world. You can find my books, The Agile Brand and The Agile Web, on Amazon and on my website at theagile.world.